Welcome back to the Photify Academy. I'm your host, Angelique Boulding, Director of Business Development here at Photify. Excited to share with you this month's webinar, where we're going to be discussing how to choose the right social media channels for your business and optimizing your content to engage your audience. So as you can imagine, with so many different social media networks to choose from, I'm sure you're overwhelmed by choice or drowning in the responsibilities of each channel, let alone the algorithms. So luckily, Photify is here to help. And on today's webinar, we're going to help you hone into understanding how to select these channels, the responsibilities that go into each, and key point here being understanding where your target audience is and how best to create and curate content that speaks directly to your audience. So to dive into a little bit of housekeeping here, we are going to go over understanding target audience, understanding channel needs, available resources, and of course, creating channel content using Photify. We'll mention a few other resources during today's webinar as well. And I also want to mention that today's webinar will be recorded. So if you want to go back and maybe relearn a little bit of something or share this with a friend, this will be recorded and we will share this link out with you. I also very much encourage ask questions along the way. We will have a demo of the app at the end, so stay tuned for that. I'll be available during the webinar as well, or one of my teammates to help answer any questions that you may have. All right, let's dive in. Social media has never been more important for brands and individuals to master. It has a 93% higher lead to close rate than outbound marketing. And with 24% of companies using social media, they saw a direct increase in revenue, according to a recent QuickSprout report. But before you take on more than you expected, especially depending on the size of your team, the resources that you have available, and to be honest, any of your skill sets that you may or may not have, we want to help you connect with your audience, drive engagement, and boost company revenue. So the first thing that we will cover is know thy audience. You cannot sell a product, you cannot market a product until you know who it is that you're selling to. And in doing so, the best thing that you can ask yourself is, where does your target audience spend their time? So if you think about yourself in this regard and how you as a consumer and you as your own customer spends their time, some of the questions that come to mind are, what networks do I use? What networks do the customers that I really want to target, what networks are those? Making a list of those. How old are they? Are they female or male? Having an understanding of your audience demographics will help you better hone in on what channels those are, as well as the content that you're creating. And speaking of content, what type of content do they interact most with? What's easy about this is on social media, you can easily see throughout your own feed what type of content is going viral, what type of content is most engaged with, and of course, considering any of those algorithms that are helping that content reach better organic growth. And the last thing is asking yourself, who does your audience follow on these networks? So taking a quick scan and just really understanding with all the resources that you have at your hand within the platforms themselves, being able to use that research to really put together what we call a persona. So in marketing, we call it a target persona. So that's literally what we do to give your ideal audience a name and add in different demographic data points to help understand who this person is. So for instance, with Photify, maybe we have Photify Patricia. Photify Patricia is between the ages of 25 and 45 years old. She runs her own business, wants to create content and share it across Instagram and Facebook. So again, what we were able to do is research all the different platforms that are out there, take those insights and really hone in on the person that we are looking to target. So if your customer spends most of their time on LinkedIn, setting up an Instagram channel wouldn't help you much in reaching out to your target customer. So defining your audience in as much detail as possible will help you pinpoint where they spend their time. So again, when we talk about that persona data, even understanding where they shop. Is your target customer somebody that shops at Whole Foods, or if they shop at Target? Are they somebody that prefers to go to Bath and Body Works or Sephora? So there's a lot of different data points that you can pull from that really help you hone in on who you want to speak to. And the next benefit, with as much data as there is out there and the amount of people that are on these platforms at this time, a lot of these channels are going to give you the demographic information on their audience so that you can better align what that looks like, which we'll dive into in just a second. So some channel demographics to consider. Some of today's top platforms can vary widely in audience demographics, making it important to understand your target and how or where they spend their time. For instance, Facebook remains the world's most popular media platform, and chances are your target audience uses it. So if you see here in some of the graphs that we've included, and what it says is that 74% is the percentage of people that use social media on a daily basis that are on Facebook, whereas you have 72% that are using YouTube, 63% on Instagram. Now, while those percentages are very high as in relation to some of the other platforms such as Twitter or Snapchat and TikTok, what you can also consider is the type of content on there. So a lot of these platforms are prioritizing serving video content. They are legacy channels that have been around for a good bit of time that also focus heavily on visuals and graphics and images. So whereas Instagram is notably popular among younger users, 49% are female, with more than half of the global user base being under 35 years old. So those key points alone tell you that if your target audience is a male over the age of 40, they're probably not going to be spending a lot of their time on Instagram. So with these insights and being able to align that with your target persona, you're better able to spend time on the platforms that are right for you and right for your business. So next, we're going to chat about the importance of knowing thy competitors. This is one of the key things that we always recommend. And I'm noticing right now that our fun GIF here is not working. GIF, whatever side of the aisle you're on there. But yes, so knowing your competitors and knowing which channels they are using. So some key questions to ask yourself in this process: what channels are they using? What channels are delivering the most engagement? Now, maybe you're not able to see, the impressions and the reach and, click-through rates, etc. What you can see is what type of content they're getting the most engagement on. And that comes in the form of likes, it comes in the form of follows, and with a creme de la creme of social media is in the form of shares or comments. So what type of content, really hone in on, is it educational, informational, humorous? Is it a promotion? Understanding that will help you better align the type of content that you create, not only with your target audience and your target persona, but also maybe you can find ways to set yourself apart from your competitors. So I like to say, if you see them zig, what are ways that you can zag that still align with what your target persona engages most with? How often are they posting? This is an easy way to find a Facebook page or an Instagram page of a competitor and simply understand, do they post several times a day, once every other day, etc. The other aspect that I would also recommend, and we mentioned this in our first question of knowing thy audience, is who are their followers. So we've already established who our audience is. We see who our audience follows. But now when it comes to our competitors, who are the people that follow them? Is that the same target audience that you have in mind? And what's nice about this process is you can take the information that you have from both of these questions and all the answers that you've compiled from there, and align that back with your target persona. And that will help you understand exactly which channels and which platforms to spend most of your time in. So by understanding how and where they're using these channels, you can better align yourself with that target audience and, again, find ways to differentiate yourself. Now for available resources. And I'm going to change my screen here so you can see the full slide. There we go. So available resources. After examining your competitors' channels, you now have a better idea of the type of content you'll need to deliver for each channel and posting frequency. Now, when we say type of content for each channel, I emphasize this because it's not a one-size-fits-all. If you are somebody that decides to simply repost or reshare from Instagram, you may see the differences in the channel optimization when it comes to how content looks on a specific channel. And what I mean by that is on Facebook, you may be prone to seeing a square image, or on Instagram, you're prone to seeing a square image. Whereas on Facebook, it may be far more taller and more of a portrait type setting. So that way it fills out more of that feed for your user. And there's so many different social media dimensions and ways to optimize channels that it's really good to keep in touch on that. The last thing you want to do is use a square graphic for your Facebook cover image and have the thing cropped and resized and zoomed in. So in all that to say, it takes a lot of work to manage and maintain multiple pages, let alone creating relevant content and optimizing that content for each, which is why it's even more important that you understand why you're spending time on a specific channel. So in that sense, ask yourself, what resources do you have available? It's best to create one or two relevant social media accounts and manage them effectively, then create multiple accounts that you may struggle to keep updated with quality posts. And what I like about that rule of thumb is it at least gets you started in an area. It provides you with a space to test. And then from there, when you feel as though you are ready to launch into another area, say you start with Facebook, you move over to Instagram, and then you want to explore the likes of TikTok. The type of content created on all three of those are very different. The type of content that are created, even if you throw LinkedIn to the mix, are very different. And it's not just about the look of your content, it's also so important how you write in your descriptions. So understanding how you speak to each of the audiences and how you speak to your target persona, that can vary across platforms as well. Fortunately, there are a lot of social media management tools, much like Photify, to help you monitor your social media activity and help you create and schedule posts for your preferred publishing time. Now, I'm going to let you guys in on a little exciting secret that Photify has coming up. We've been working behind the scenes on a very robust desktop social media analytics and engagement platform. And so for everything that we're talking about right now, including monitoring hashtags, monitoring comments and conversations, you're going to be able to do right from your desktop as well. So outside of that, a few other resources that I like to mention are the likes of Hootsuite. So Hootsuite is a great space to be able to publish multiple pieces of content across different pages. So again, thinking about just how much time does it take to maintain each of these channels? And then who is qualified? So we work with businesses ranging from 10 people to 10, 20, 150, 250,000. So very much across the spectrum between enterprise brands, small businesses, and independent consultants. Now, as you can imagine, one has more resources, well more resources than the other. But even as small teams, understanding your own, if you're an individual, understanding your own limitations, knowing and accepting what you're good at, and identifying who within your organization is qualified to run the pages efficiently, from both that technical, creative, and copywriting standpoint. So the last thing you want to do is create all this awesome content, but then have poor grammar. The next thing is what software is needed. So we mentioned Photify, we mentioned Hootsuite. I'll even throw Canva out there. There's so many different apps and different software that you can use today. Obviously, here at Photify, we have taken into consideration everything that we've seen out there, and with that have created a robust platform that enables you to remove the friction from going from app to app and simply use one platform to create all the content that is optimized for each channel, which we will go into a live demonstration here in just a moment. So lastly, with all this in mind, determining what your strategy should include to achieve those measurable goals. So it's one thing to start these channels. It's another thing to really understand why you're starting them and what you plan to get out of them. So you will want to create an outline of the tactics that will help you achieve your goals. So put down some measurable insights and what we call KPIs, key performance indicators. Is it at the end of quarter one, you want to reach 10,000 followers? Now, I always advocate for focusing more on engagement than I do following, but whatever the metrics are, have something that you believe is not only tangible, but sets a goal so that you are on track to creating content, creating and pivoting on the type of content that you are creating to meet those goals. Now, that could include creating inspiring, relevant, educational content that your target audience would love. And then you'll need to decide if you're going to allocate a budget for paid promotion, with the final step being the content creation and the content calendar. At Photify, we've got a few of our Facebook private group forums that we have where we share these content calendars. And I will add some of those links into the chat section as well. But I cannot stress enough the importance of having a content calendar. One of the number one things I hear from people on a day-to-day basis when it comes to creating content is, I don't know what to post. I don't know if this sounds right. I don't know if this is relevant. You can avoid so much of that concern if you simply back up and put all the work into how you want from that 30,000 viewpoint. Have that work done from your key strategy and do it all at the same time. So that way you have a full outline of your key dates, your content themes, your promotions, your campaigns, and of course that weekly flow. And when you have that 30,000 viewpoint, what you're then able to better accomplish is understanding how the entire thing will look and how the voice sounds as you tell your story throughout the course of that month, that week, that even that day. So with all this ahead, you will know exactly when to post, the channels that you want to post on, and when. But remember that if you just post about your products or sales, people will get bored quickly. And I emphasize this because I say again, think of how you consume content. Think about how you shop products on the internet or even in store and in person. People don't want to be sold to. They want to connect with a brand on a deeper level that makes them feel that they are becoming part of a community. So give them that community, give them the meaning and the values that you strive for every day in your business. Make that clear and abundant to your customers, because I guarantee you the results will be far better than if you post a promotion or a sale day in and day out. Now, there is a ratio, and I'm sure you guys have heard the 80-20 rule for a lot of different industries or different concepts, topics, context, but that's relevant here as well. And so when you have 80% value-added content to 20% promotional posts, what you then have is a baseline of content where you have provided them with value, with education, with information. You gave them a reason to follow you. They understand your story. You've now connected to your target audience. So when that 20% comes in where you're showing off your promotions, you've got a great sale going on, they're more likely to buy from you because they are already engaged with who you are and what you stand for. So end goal, be realistic about the resources you need to make your social presence shine. If you don't have time to put into the strategy, you don't have time to put into creating a 30,000 viewpoint of your calendar, then start with one page and do that one page well until you feel as though you're ready to move on to adding new pages into the mix. Now, with all that to say, I am never shy to also advocate for testing different things. Once you've built an audience and once you have your target persona and that community that you've built into your product and your brand and your business, it's a great opportunity to test different concepts. As much as I advocate for creating content calendars, which you should absolutely do, don't be afraid if one day you wake up or in the middle of the night you had the best idea for a social media post and you just want to try it. Do it. At the end of the day, social media should also be fun, because if you're not having fun, you don't believe in the work that you're doing, you don't believe in how you're messaging it, then I guarantee you that your customers will feel the same. So have a strategy, understand the software that's needed, know who is qualified to take this on, and be understanding of the amount of time that you have to maintain and manage each channel independently and successfully. So next, let's dive into a demo. We're going to roll into some of our partner demos here. So again, I very much advocate for you all to be asking questions. We've got a chat box and a Q&A. So if you leave your comments, feedback, any other questions that you have, we will make sure that we address those in the live segment coming up here in just a second.